Mountains. Don't know, but here we are. Is it from the Himalayan Mountains?
Girl,
So if you don't introduce the topic. What it is, mi gente, it's your girl Nina Montañez,
yo, it's your girl Paula WJ here.
and you're tuning into
Brown and Urban.
Like BC.
Yeah.
What of him?
Try to keep my hands down.
What? Why? Is it like a nervous?
It's a millennial thing.
We just have to move our hands.
It's always up here for me. It was with one of the things was like, why are their hands always go up when they start dancing?
Praise the Lord. Praise you very much.
I think it's for non-believers too. It's like on the dance floor, hands always go up here.
Yeah, once I hit one of these, that's my jam. Like, once the hands come up above the shoulders, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I just feel like, we know. I'm so sorry, Gen Z. We know how to have a good time, and not just for looks.
I don't think we need to apologize because they literally have taken everything from us. I mean, I think real Gen Zers would like admit that.
Yes, the ones that get it, and 9 times out of 10, they were like, they have older siblings that were millennials, so it's like, dang. And they'd be like the 1997 Gen Zers, they just missed the cutoff.
X.
Like, cause right now, what's the trend right now? Phoneless summer. So like they're buying iPods off of like eBay.
Wow.
Right.
Wait, hold on. Like phoneless summer, like
what is summer like? Because your phone does everything now. You could listen to your music, whatever. They're like going out and buying iPods so that way they can leave their phones at home and just like disconnect. And I'm like, oh,
I mean, I love that.
that sounds really familiar.
I love that. That just outlived my childhood.
Yeah, literally. One of the girls at work was at an iPod, and I'm looking at it, and like it's not registering, because I'm like, that's normal to me. But the kids were like, how come your headphones have a cord? I said, what?
That just makes me so upset and sad at the same time.
Because I realized like the kids
Say how bored, but AirPods and
when I was trying to explain it, I kept wanting to say AirPods. Like headphones didn't sound right. Like I wanted to say AirPods or like Beats. Like you just like name the product and like not what the actual product is. Like it was weird. Or name the brand instead of what the product is.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then they had explained to me, oh, I'm gonna do a phoneless summer. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, but like a phone is for your safety. So you put under the disturb or
see, that's crazy because we walked around going to school every single day.
no problem.
No devices.
No devices. But we knew not to talk to strangers. These kids getting on the internet and full blown talking to strangers. It's true. It's talking about, I live here. You just summoned a 40-year-old man to your house.
Some who's crazy, not Yu-Gi-Oh.
I ain't good Yu-Gi-Oh. I never saw how to play. I actually don't even know. Pokemon cards are coming back.
Did they ever really go away because of like that whole remember when everybody was obsessed with
Pokemon Go?
Everybody was obsessed.
But nobody was talking about Pokemon cards. Now kids are trading Pokemon cards.
So,
and I'm like, I don't know, y'all just making up anything, huh? Because what is this? Why does the chair?
In my world, they were already doing that.
What do you mean?
Because like in nerd,
oh, you're right.
They never stopped.
Yeah, the kids are on a trend now, and I'm like, what Pokemon is that? It's like Silver Playdom, and I'm like, what?
Silver Playdom?
It's like stupid names.
I'm asking.
The names don't make no sense, and I'm like, look, I'm like, what does this even say? And it's like a book, a book that came to life, and it's a Pokemon now. Like the Pokemon, they don't make any sense, and I'm like, not that Muck made any sense, but he was like dirt.
No, he was mud.
Mud, yeah, there you go. He was mud. So like Muck makes sense. The other new ones, like they just don't. It's like Eevee Queen. What?
Sushi.
Huh? Don't make a lick of sense. I don't know. And I'm like, wait, what?
Is it not sushi?
It's not. I just made that up.
No.
Actually, I had to get the artist, but I just didn't know what else to say. But Ivy was the little fox. Remember?
Yeah, so cute though.
Mad cute.
Ninetales.
No, that was like the evolution of it. The little one was just the one tail. And then because it was Eevee. Then it was the aqua version, the blue one. Then like it had
Wait, not Eevee.
not Eevee, no Eevee.
That's why I'm thinking sushi.
Hello. I'm like, how did we get here? That's how we got here. Anyway, okay, lol. Anyways, so Paula and I are both dating.
Not each
other. Not each other. We're dating people, sons of the Most High, men of God. And so we were like, we consistently are always seeing the marriage, right? We're always seeing the once you've been married. There's not a lot of talk within the church community or just like within the Christian community at all about like dating. We talk about the season of singleness and then it's like marriage. Okay. What happened in between time, in the meantime, in between time, you understand? And we are in the meantime, in between time. And like what that looks like and like, the trials and tribulations that come with getting a godly man. But then like also, I don't want to necessarily trying to live up to being a Proverbs 31 woman, but like just being better and not bringing old habits from the past into the new. Because if that's the case, then we wouldn't be doing this in God's name, right? We wouldn't be. And then also being obedient to the person that God has for you. So I think that you got it.
Let's pause. I just realized Cairo is like snoring up a storm, and that's gonna be all up on the audio. And I hate to do it, boo. I hate to do it. I could say. And you know what's crazy though? I feel like there's like a lot of talks from, to your point, from the married view about what single life was like. But a lot of it is mostly about like their first years in marriage. And they talk about the struggles that they had about letting go of certain habits.
Yeah.
And which I think is dope. I think you need to have those types of conversation because just because you get married doesn't mean that like, oh, everything is just so easy. But like, to your point, there's like such I don't want to say a storm, right? Because I don't think it's going to be that way for everybody. I think everybody goes through different seasons with whatever relationship that you're in. But there is like a level of sacrifice that happens before getting into a marriage. I think the sacrifice becomes greater once you are in the marriage, especially if it is God ordained.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be getting attacked from different ways. But there's something to be said about when you're in a relationship that you and you prayed on that's God ordained and how attacked it gets even before you get to the aisle. And it's, I don't even know how to say, because it's hard to talk about with people.
Yeah.
And that's why you kind of have to either have you kind of have to have a mentor or somebody who's discipling, and you have to be around people who are willing to help you pray and helping you to be transparent, you know what I mean, and accountable.
Yeah.
It's like, it's over your time.
Well, yes to everything. And also like to your point of you hear about like that first year of marriage or whatever, but also like when you do hear about the single season, it's to aspire to marriage. But what happens when that's not like, yes, if you were dating, yes, ultimately you want to get married. But at the same time, that's not the goal. Like, you know what I mean? Like a goal, like when women are like, I need to hit this mark and I need to this and I need to that, like, and it's you're only ever, whenever there is a singles event, it's like, oh, we want you to find your Ruth or we want you to find your Boaz. And it's like, I'm a Shopify community. Like, give me a second. I'm trying to find my footing. I just want to get around like-minded people.
And even that story is kind of sad if you really actively think about it, which is like Ruth lost her first husband. Literally was almost like, and Naomi like stuck to her gun. It was like, you don't need to come with me. It was almost abandoned, but you know what I mean. So it's like
you have to go home.
There's a lot of trials that come along with, and then Boaz had to be a kinsman. Like he had to do a lot to be able to get. So it was never gonna be easy. And I think to your point, right? Like, yeah, maybe I just want to find my community or whatever, and it's not just like immediately going from single to married.
Yeah.
But I also think too, like keeping in mind that in your single season, that's a lot of work too. And when and it's true, like until you're married, you're technically single.
Yeah.
even when you're dating. Like, yeah, technically, like I might be in a relationship with somebody, but in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of the covenant that comes with marriage, I am single.
I'm so sorry. I'm listening, but my brain also went to how I opened up this, and I was like, Paul and I are dating people, and admire each other. I could have said Paul and I are in the dating world. There was so many ways to frame that, and I was just trying to get it out.
Before you went on another Himmel.
Yes. Before I went on another trek somewhere else, I just wanted to get it out. That's phenomenal. Talk about clickbait. You imagine? Jesus.
Oh my gosh, Christian.
I don't know. Oh no, my goodness. But we're not gonna talk. We're not gonna touch that topic just yet. We're gonna stay on this one for now. Because we can go on a whole other wait, and we're not gonna do that. So, I'm so sorry not to cut you off. You were saying?
I don't remember.
No,
But I think I think I was just saying how that I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I do think it was along the lines of even while in a relationship, until you are in that covenant, right? That there's a level of singleness that you still have, especially, and it might not be because physically you are not alone. There's a level of individualness that you still have to redeem with the Lord. You know what I mean? Like the Lord already redeemed you, but you know what I mean? But it's more like you have to build that relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they tell you that even before you get into a marriage. Now, for some people, this is not going to be for everybody, right? Some people don't find the Lord until they are in a marriage or into a relationship, and that's okay. Like if that's your walk and that's what God has for you, then I'm not here to talk about that. But I think I'm here for the people who are in relationships right now.
Yeah.
Who are looking to be in a relationship, and they are looking to their person, specifically for women who are looking to this godly man supposed to lead them. And I think you want to find the qualities for sure. But I think you have to be so well versed in your own spiritual walk.
Yeah.
And in your own relationship with Jesus. Like you should be able, like you should know how God talks to you, so that you can know how a man's supposed to lead you.
Yeah.
And I think when you're dating, when you're with somebody that you're like, okay, I believe, and I prayed on it, I've asked it, I've had somebody confirm this, or you know what I mean? Like, and you're with this person, and again, speaking from a woman's point of view, I think that that's when you have to double down more.
Yeah.
In your walk with God, because a man, and I'm not talking about just like the aspect of like male, I'm talking about just like men, like us as people, we are going to backslide.
Yeah.
And there are going to be moments when your person may backtrack in their own faith. And what does that look like if you aren't solid? Because if that's supposed to be the person that's leading you, and you don't know how to be solid and remain in yourself and persevere and be strengthened.
I think that's a super like solid point though. Like I don't again, because this conversation isn't happening from people who are in the dating world, we're getting the content and the information from people who have already been across the threshold of being married, right? Like to your point of making sure that you're solid within yourself, because dating is hard, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, and Paul and I have had many conversations, like first of all, making sure that if you are going to talk about your relationship with someone, it is someone that you trust, and it's not going to be someone that is like, well, girl, if he acts enough, then you gotta like. You want to be very mindful and very careful of who it is that you share. Like if something is bothering you, because there have been times where I've talked to Paula and been like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel kind of weird, but like I don't really know. And she's been like, girl, you gotta pray about it. But like also maybe see it from this perspective. Like it's never like a negative. It's always like, okay, well, how can I help assist you in this? And even sometimes after something has passed me and like, yeah, kind of went through this. It was a little weird, but like, this is where we're at. And then, sometimes either she's like, oh, girls, literally saying, but we've never sat here and like bashed, or it's never been like a gossip session. It's just been like I'm seeking out another perspective. Maybe I'm not seeing because I'm frustrated or something. But like, understanding that point, to Paula's point of, being solid within your own walk is only really truly going to benefit you. Because if you are just looking to a man to lead, what are you going to do on the days that he's down?
And understanding that he has to be solid in his walk because once a man becomes, and again, this is only from the perspective of a woman.
Yeah.
Once he surrenders and humbles himself to Christ is the only way that you can humble yourself to be his wife.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less. Because he becomes the head of your household. So the head of your household doesn't have a head of household, and his name ain't Jesus.
He was that.
It's no for me, dog.
It's a no for me, dog. But like also I said, like I also don't want to feel like I'm dragging anybody's son to the cross. Like
Facts.
I have to bear my cross just like you have to take up your cross daily, right? And what dating is teaching me right now is like, I think as Christians we're making this a fantasy of like, oh, you know, it's gonna be this and it's gonna be this, and then once we get married, then we get to this. Let's keep it a whole stack. A lot of y'all getting married real quickly, and though if it's, you know, if it's in God's will, y'all doing it so that you could be out fornicating, and y'all don't feel no type of way about it. That's the process you needed to take up, and you're like, okay, well, I want to do this thing, and because this is so hard, since God already told, and that's what's up. Since God already told us that you're my person, like let's just make it to make it to the altar. Just to get up in them draws. And I'm just like, now what happens when you've climaxed and then it resettles? Paula didn't know we was gonna go here. She didn't. She's trying to collect her thoughts.
My pearls.
Collecting her pearls. Because like this is one of those things where I'm like, if we gonna talk about it, we gonna have to talk about it, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no sugarcoating what it looks like. And you know, I've backslidden and I've been like, okay, wait, maybe we shouldn't have conversation while we are horizontal. That's not when the conversations take place. The conversations need to take place when we vertical.
Exactly.
And not in close quarters. Because I struggle with lust, you struggle with lust. My lust can meet your lust, and it's just gonna be nothing but lustful dust. We're not doing that. A bar. I'll take a belt. You want to? And let's keep it in the book. Like there's not enough conversation right now. It's fun for married people to have those conversations because now once they shut the cameras off, they can go make it do what it do and be fruitful and multiply if they want to see it fit. Okay, and what happens for those of us that are like, okay, I'm dating someone and he look good, I look good. We're both able-bodied people. Like,
and I think it's because the spiritual advice is ask God for strength, for sure. But the physical part, like this natural part, is how can I prepare myself for this? Like, you know what I mean? And it's that part, I think, the practical part that I think sometimes gets lost. To your point, which is don't put yourself, and this is so simple, right?
Don't put yourself in the positions you're gonna be compromised in.
But that's easier said than done, right?
Yeah,
I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, right? Like, I think that's one of the things I had to learn in my season, right? Which is, I think where I naturally am tempted the most is like in pride. So because I'm so used to doing things and not even doing things on my own, but liking things like I want it done my way, my time. And if you do not do it right, you do not get a second chance. I will do it and I will have an attitude. That's pride. You know what I mean? And so I get tempted into that very easily. And I think there's one of those like practical situations, which is like, don't put yourself in something that's going to compromise you.
Yeah.
And I personally am like, I set myself up for that because I don't want to take time to explain something of what I need. Right? Like it takes 5 seconds to explain what it is that I actually need. But I don't want to do that because that makes me vulnerable. And because that makes me vulnerable, I don't want to tell you. So when you mess up, which you will, because you don't know you walked on a landmine. I know you walked on a landmine. You don't know you walked on a landmine. So now I got an attitude with you because you walk on a landmine. Now I set you up for the next landmine because look, I don't want to be vulnerable enough to tell you that actually bothered me in the first place. But see, I'm putting myself in these predicaments where you are going to mess up. And it's like, and it's those like little things of like, we don't talk, like we talk about that, we hear about it from a marriage point of view. And you, oh, you gotta let go of things when you're married. You gotta, and it's like, I love that. I'm not married yet.
You understand? So what am I doing before? You understand? But like to your point of like, dang, like how you gonna hold me accountable to a standard I didn't know you set? And that sounds crazy, right? But it's that piece of like, then now you're setting boundaries. And I think that sometimes especially within the Christian walk, and I might, this might be controversial, I don't know, when they're like, submit to your husband, and it's like, okay, well, if I submit to him, do I let go of my boundaries? Am I not allowed to have boundaries? Is that, are those contradicting thoughts? You know what I mean? Because like, one time I heard a pastor say, my wife ain't never denied me of sex. I said, quota. I don't know that you should have said it like that.
I get where he was coming from.
I understand where it was coming from, but I'm like, you need to get some context. You can't just say what you said and speed past that. Because now I'm like, my brain went completely left. And I said, what that means? I need you to, you know what I mean? I'm not saying my pastor said it. I'm saying a pastor said it. And I heard that once and I said, I don't like how that didn't land, I think, the way that you thought that it landed. Maybe to the men, because the men were like, woo, 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 woo. And women were like, everybody have pursed lips. Like, what that mean, sir? It's 2024. Not at the time, but like 2023. It's 2023. What do you mean by that, sir? Anyways, but like, what does that look like when you want to set a boundary? Because if, like, oh, you get married, all those boundaries that you now have set have been lifted. No, I'm sure they can be transferred in other ways. Like, okay, like I said, maybe we shouldn't be horizontal and talking to each other cute. Maybe we can sit across from each other at the kitchen table and like let there be other people in the crib. So like I know of someone who doesn't everything, like they sit only in their living room with their partner because they're like, we're not going nowhere, we can shut doors. Like, that's just not what's happening. Because that's what they need in order to be held accountable, right? I know someone who will not hang out with a significant other by themselves. Like, they need to have 2-3 more, like, when other people around, just so that it holds them accountable. But then unfortunately you hear the stories of women that are like, I don't know how to tell him that that's not okay, or like, I don't actually want to do that. But then, let's go BC. Let's take it BC. I'm gonna talk about me, BC. I found validation in that. And like, and if a man didn't make a, like, someone that I was dating or talking to or whatever, if they didn't try to hit on me or make a pass at me or try to, in other words, coerce me into doing something, then I felt like something was wrong with me. Like, oh, you're not attracted to me, you must not like me. And then in turn, it, like, that spirit of rejection starts to manifest itself within myself, and then it meets the spirit of lust. And now I'm like, oh, well, if he's not gonna make the move, I'm gonna make the move.
It's like, ain't no switching up.
It's like, and I only ever feel bad after the fact, because I'm like, we really, can I just not sit and watch a movie? Like, this is a problem.
You didn't want it in the first place. I didn't, like, you just wanted the validation, but you didn't have the words to be able to say that you wanted the validation. But so then you allowed it. Yeah, I get that. Because all of VC was like that too. Because what it's not about to do is you wasn't about to reject Paula. BC, you thought,
you reject me now, baby. That's protection. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Love you, mean it. I will pray for you. I just on my prayer list. But yeah, it's like in that, and then like, what do those conversations look like? And I've actively had to tell my boyfriend, listen, babe, we not gonna be finished watching. We're not gonna watch Insecure. I promise you, we not. Too much don't go down in that show. And me, BC, love that show. Yo, understand. Oh, I'm telling on myself today. Jesus, I hope this bless somebody. I hope this bless somebody, because when I tell you, guard your ear gate, your ear canal, guard it, right? When I'm watching this show, and I loved the show. I did. I think that it served the purpose at a time, and I loved it and whatever. But when they started talking, Issa and Molly was talking about a whole tation. Me and my homegirl looked at each other and we said, do we gotta get a roster going? And when I tell you, that's how I realized I'm monogamous. Because I tried to get a roster going and I couldn't. I failed miserably. Because I was like, I don't know that I have the attention span to just give multiple people. Like, that's crazy. But like, my homegirl did, and I calmly walked into that sin with her. And it's just like, dang, like not me now looking back, I'm like, that was crazy. But I sure did get my breakfast paid for. I sure did get my lunch paid for. I sure did get my dinner paid for.
Every time.
In one day, I set up 3 dates, and I said, this is a little much.
Yeah. In my youth.
In
my BC youth, in my 20s. You know, when you can say you have a date every single day of the week. Yeah.
I think that was like a solid 3 months where I had a date every weekend, and I was like, this isn't it.
Yeah. It wasn't it then. It's not it now.
I ain't never gonna be it. I promise it was not.
2 things. One, I just noticed that I ripped a hole in my sock, and that made me very upset because I really like these socks. 2, it must have been when I picked up Cairo. 2, your point about boundaries. I was talking to my boyfriend about this months ago, or maybe weeks ago. Who knows? Time, strange. But I was talking about how like there's this point of I have to trust that there's a level of vulnerability, right? Which is like I have to trust as a woman, right, that when I marry, right, that my husband is so submitted to God. You as a man have to be submitted to God, which means you have to be humble enough to be able to learn so that you could be at least any good leader across the board, man or woman. Any good leader has to listen.
Yeah.
Has to be humble enough to get their hands dirty and do it and to serve. You can't lead if you don't know how to serve.
Yeah.
And so when me and my boyfriend were having that conversation, I was like, because we were like, there was like a point of like, I don't feel vulnerable, you don't feel vulnerable. And like when you both don't feel vulnerable, there's a lot of like defense that comes up, right? Like I feel like we had a Celtics game, like there's a lot of defense. Yeah. Like it's just like, it's crazy. And so I was like, we have got to be comfortable and vulnerable enough to say, I trust you enough with my feelings that I don't have to be as protective over my own.
Ooh, that's good.
Because if you are protecting my feelings and I'm protecting your feelings, right? Or we at least have that level of respect, you'll never have to really fully feel defensive enough because you already got a defense.
Yeah.
And it's not, me saying that is not like, oh, it's been a walking apart repeatedly.
Yeah.
Have to have that. Yeah. But I think that that's where it's like when it comes to boundaries, right? Because I realize, like I could tell on myself, but like I realized when I look at my past, I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't have any real boundaries, especially any boundaries that protected me spiritually. And so I'm now at a point where like all I care is about respecting myself spiritually.
Yeah.
And if that means that I have to have an awkward conversation, I have to have an awkward conversation. If I had to tell you like, yeah, no, like before marriage, no, we not having sex before marriage. Like, then we're just not. And if that's not something that vibes with you, it doesn't vibe with you. I get it.
Hate rocks.
Yeah. It's like, it's all love, but, and luckily, praise God, you know, man of God. And yeah, totally fine. That makes sense. But there are people, I kid you not, dang, I don't want to tell this business. I'm about to tell this man's business. Not my boyfriend's business. Somebody that I did it before. If he watches this, then shout out to you. But if not, God, this will help somebody.
Praying for you.
Right, praying for you. But I remembered like dating somebody prior and being like, twice I brought up, I do not want to have sex before marriage. The first time I brought it up.
I'm convinced Paula and I have lived the same dating life. Because yes, we gonna get into mine after. Go ahead, sis. This not have to be a 2-part. I don't know.
Yeah. So like the first time I was like, I remember bringing it up and being like, listen, I don't want to have sex before marriage. And this is BC. And he was like, and I was like, look, I feel like I like you. I don't know if I fully like you or if I just like you because we were already intimate. So like, I just don't know. And I'd rather like take a step back. I'm thinking I'm being mature now. This is Paula BC. So I'm like,
she's like, I'm eating with this one.
I'm eating.
Clearing the plate.
Like, only 2 plates.
This is like I said, we are at a buffet. You didn't clear anything.
Right. So then he goes like, oh, we can be friends. Now listen, Paula BC was like, if you was gonna do a check, I'm doing a checkmate. Because why not? I said, oh, because I didn't offer that on the table.
That's not what I
said, oh, okay. Because if you want to be friends, I want to be best friends. Best friends. So I said, Oh, okay, because you thought I was gonna crumble. But please don't take it away from me. Yeah, I don't care, right? Saw that happen. And after a while came, what are you doing? Do you need anything? Blah 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 blah. You wanted to be my friend. Hey bestie. Hey bestie. Why don't I hang out with you? Anyways, still backslid. But that being said, by the end of it, I was starting to get more convicted.
Mm-hmm.
But this is BC. Yeah, that was starting. This was towards the tug.
Yeah.
And it was becoming more and more fundamental in me that I was like, I don't want to ever touch another man unless it's my husband. I don't even, like, when I said I needed to figure out whether or not I like you or not, I figured it out. I figured it out. So it's like, I like you, but I don't like you, like, because now I had to have this conversation with you again,
which is an ick.
Because I've already said it, and then you basically are like, yeah, I could. It wasn't the second time. It wasn't even like a pushback. He was like, I could respect it, and I could tell, I could hear it. You're lying. You're lying. You couldn't. You can't stop. You won't stop
Until you not on the Diddy. Can't stop, won't stop.
no Diddy. But like, I was like, but I knew that you're lying. I know that you're lying.
Yeah.
And there's no amount of me talking myself. There was no delusional in me. I was like, oh no, you're lying. Oh my gosh, I don't like that. I don't like this. Oh my God,
You're not lying to me, sir.
And then it was like, how do I break this off nicely? And I didn't, but that was the war. That is what ended up becoming the war of, like, because the boundary now had already been set, had set a boundary.
Yeah.
That I knew in my heart of heart, he was never going to keep. And I was going to keep putting myself in a predicament to have to break that boundary over and over again. And he's not going to feel bad about that boundary being broken. You will, but I will.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out a way to get out of this boundary. And that was the harder part. Because then I had to not get out of the boundary, but I had to figure out another way to set another hard boundary, and that was the conversation else. So then it all that being said, long-winded and all, but it was necessary to basically say that when you are dating, or if you are around somebody currently who you feel in your heart of hearts, and I feel like that's the mercy that God gives us, because we are the delulu ones, not him. So if you feel like, I feel like I should, like, I shouldn't be having sex before marriage, or I shouldn't be dating this person, or I just don't think this person is the right one for me. And
Maybe that's conviction.
That's conviction. So it is a difference between your own conviction versus God's conviction. Because, and we can get to that another time, I'll get into it right now, but like, Lord knows, I have been trying so hard at one point to get out of my relationship. Not because of love, not because of lack of love, but because I had to be vulnerable, and I was like, that's gross.
I don't want that.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's actually really tough. But to your point of setting boundaries, like, I had to have the awkward. It was awkward at first, but like, my boyfriend and I were like, that's my best friend. That's my dog. That's my dog. Like, I love that man. And so I had to, like, let him know, like, you know the things that I struggle with in my walk, and I learned this, like, while we were, like, watching a movie or watching a TV show or whatever, and I was like, wait, something is happening, and I don't it's making what we're watching is waking up lust. And I'm like, I didn't feel this way when we were watching Shrek, so what is happening? And so I had to tell him, like, I think that it would be wise if we, like, don't watch these kinds of movies together. We ended up, and like, this is the part of the Christian walk where somebody would say that you're doing too much. You can't watch, like, 27 dresses. No, I can't, because that scene when they was in the car and they got hot and heavy, yeah, it's that quick for me. So I'm like, we're just not gonna watch it. And I love that movie. I ain't gonna hold you.
I was like, what scene?
What scene?
I was flicking.
It was after they were singing Benny and the Jets.
I don't even remember.
I love that movie. But, like, it's that for me, right? And I actually didn't realize, like, I know that he heard me, but I didn't realize he was listening until there was, like, one day where we were just, like, being couch potatoes and we were watching a movie, and it didn't click for me. I don't even remember what movie we were watching, but later on in the week, he was like, hey, I want to apologize for the movies that we watched. Well, I wasn't actually watching movies. They were just on and I was like scrolling. Like I wasn't really paying attention to the movie. To this day, I don't remember what movies they were that we were watching. But there was a scene where he was like, oh, I didn't think it was that, like to him, he was like, I didn't think it was that serious. I didn't pick up on it because I wasn't paying attention. But it was the fact that he later on apologized for like, hey, I know that conversation that we had before. I'm so sorry if like watching that movie or watching that show like maybe triggered you. And I was like, what did we watch? But like, even though I wasn't paying attention, it was still that like he felt it enough to be like, oh, let me let her know like I heard her.
Yeah.
You know, and that was some, and I realized in that moment I was like, wow, that's not something I've ever had before. Like,
Yeah. Somebody who respects a boundary.
and you're,
Place?
yeah, just like, oh,
And who's not lying to your face about it.
like he literally was like, yeah, like my bad, and he just genuinely like felt away about it, and like he was like, you know, Holy Spirit wanted me to tell you, like convicted me, and I was like, that's crazy, because like I didn't realize that that's what was happening in your head.
Good man to that.
And that's the beautiful thing. So like I feel that they exist, y'all. Like them men's is out there, and you know, if
Oh my gosh, I have to say this. We went so for like, I have a couple of friends who we all have. Hi dog, he always making noise. But I have a few friends. We all have birthdays in October, and so this past October we went to Canada. Yes, and I remember me and my boyfriend were like, I was like, listen, I love a good road trip, and I love a good stop. We have got to be numero uno, getting to that house.
so we could pick the house.
So pick the rooms. Yeah, we could pick the room.
Yeah.
Because I had already scoped it out, and I wasn't choosing rooms based off of like bigness or like coolness or whatever. I was like, we need enough space because we brought an air mattress because you're gonna sleep on the air mattress, and we need enough space
To set up the air mattress.
to set up the air
We
mattress.
gonna be in the same room.
We gonna be a unit, and I'll be in the unit.
You understand?
You know, like we are two pieces that don't need to come together right now. Huh?
In that
Right.
way.
In that way. So for me, it's like, but it's having a partner that's like with you, like it's like, now, all right, but we are gonna do that
You know,
because I understand and respect the
that's
boundaries.
that's where I want us to get to. I do. I want us to get there because I'm with you. I'm here with you. He not. Cause in his mind, and babe, I love you. In his mind, he's like, if we gonna be in the same house, why we not gonna be in the same bed? And I'm like, which was a nice Airbnb, sir. It's a nice Airbnb. Got that balcony too. Trust me, it does not fall short on me that there are things. But there are things, and I want the eternal life with my Lord and Savior, baby. And as much as I love you, you're not worth that, baby. I'm so sorry. I ain't doing it. I'm not. I'm not. Sorry, good. Continue.
No. I mean, like, I think, but that took time too, because I think there's like me and my boyfriend met BC, like well before BC.
Same.
And when we met, it was like, could we? And then it was like, okay, let's be friends. Then it was like a solid 2.5, 3 years of like friendship before even like getting to here. And so when we kind of took the step to like potentially form a relationship, I was still coming out of my VC. So Paula hadn't really picked up the full cross yet until there was a transition starting to happen. And Paula was not ready for the onslaught of conviction that was waiting for her.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like, how do I put this? Don't be the Jezebel, pretty much, like on accident or on purpose, which is, it wasn't even like me, thank God, right? Like, because it's just not my personality, thank God. But like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, like we should do this. It was just like, but like, is that really against the, you know what I mean? Like, is that really against the rule book or the law? I don't know. And it was genuinely just like,
Oh my gosh. I was literally watching a sermon about that. Was it Matthew 15? It's like how you circumvent. It's very like a Pharisee. It's like, this is God's law, but how do we spin it? And you, oh my.
but like what in Hosea, right? It tells you like his people perish for lack of knowledge, right? And like what we don't understand, I mean, and like Paula now knows 100% that ain't in the word, and if the word don't say it, I ain't doing it, right? But like then it was just like I'm just new to this again, right? Like I grew up in it, but they don't tell you all the stuff, so I'm asking questions. I don't know, but unknowingly I'm stumbling somebody who may already struggle in a certain area, and you know what I mean, like, and now that I'm a lot stronger, thank God, in my walk with God than I was just a mere year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point, or a year and a half ago. I don't know what time it is. I really don't. But like now that I'm a little bit stronger, I'm just like, I now recognize I don't want to be a part of somebody's stumbling block. Like I'm never gonna give you the green light to do anything that you haven't checked with the Lord. If you have not checked with the Lord yourself, don't come to me asking me,
Please.
can I do this or can I do that? Did the Lord tell you you could do that? Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask. Oh, you asking the wrong.
You better go ask your Sky Daddy.
Ask Sky Daddy. Sky Papa, please let me know.
I'm saying, listen, Matthew 15, that which defiles. Oh my God, I was literally listening to a of course it was 28:19. It was so good. But now that but when you're saying that, like Philip Anthony Mitchell was saying, like, in this passage where then some of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law came to Jesus from Jerusalem and asked, why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders? They don't wash their hands before they eat. Jesus replies, and why do you break the command of God for the sake of your own tradition? For God said, honor your father and mother, and anyone who curses their mother or father is to be put to death. But you say that if anyone declares that what they have been used to help their father or mother is devoted to God, which then I learned that back then what they did was to basically circumvent that law. They were like, if you take everything that you have and you bring it to the temple and you say, I am giving this, that way when your mother or father come to you and ask you for something, you say, I can't, because I already dedicated it. Right? And that's so malicious.
And just a misuse of
Scripture.
And what God's holiness and mercy is. But
right, so that all came to my mind, and it goes in so many ways. And then you just touched upon, like, being the reason why you're causing somebody to sin. And yeah, I'm not gonna say you're gonna hold you even after Christ, AC, we talk about BC, like even in that, I have not been a saint. I have fallen, and it was hard. I beat myself about it. Paula knows about it. And like, I actively went against something that God had told me was not for me. And because of that pride that we talk about, I like potentially could have messed up the relationship that I have now. Why? Because the enemy had sent the counterfeit. Yeah. The enemy sent the counterfeit, and Paula sat across from the counterfeit. We went out together.
sure did.
And I think you were still new, like you were still just coming to, and then I was like in it, but I was like not seeing it, right? So like your boyfriend was there, and then we had our friend where her husband was there, so it was like it was cute. And when I tell you, God set many a signs that this was not for me. My car started acting up. I was gonna go drive to see that man.
True.
My car didn't pass the inspection, which was crazy. And I sure did make sure I went and got it inspected and got it ready to go and fix whatever needed to be fixed. Got there, whatever, came back, transmission blew out. Yo. And still didn't. Was like, no, there's no way. Because when I looked at how I felt, because I was like, how did I fall for this? The enemy knew who to send, and he was a very attractive man, like beautiful man, like, and one of my homegirls said, yo, he was universally fine.
Yep.
Like you could put him anywhere and he gonna be fine. You understand?
On paper,
everything that
yep,
anybody will, on paper, this man's resume from start to finish. But also, y'all better be careful about the wolf in sheep's clothing, talking about, I'm a man of God, let's go to church together. But that man didn't want to pray with you. That man wouldn't wake up to pray with me. That man will only pray over our food. That man didn't want, and if I said, you know what, I don't feel like going to church, he said, okay, cool, we could stay home. Like, you need to be weary of those things. And that was something that I had to learn.
Because girl, that's what I had, the person I was just telling y'all about, that was my lookalike. Because you know what, on paper, in the physical, like not even like intimate wise. I'm talking about in this natural world. It feels easy.
Yes.
Everything is easy. There's no real pulling of vulnerability. You don't feel exposed. You're not really growing at all, right? Everything just seems like you don't really argue about anything. There's no nitpicking. There's no pushing you outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's just is. It just is. And they
it just flows. It's so easy.
just flows. It's so easy.
Yeah.
There's no attacks against it. Like no attacks. Zero attacks. So there's really actively nothing that should keep you from this relationship.
But because the world tells you if it's easy, it must be good. You think that that's what you think that you're doing.
You shouldn't have any problems. You should.
It shouldn't be that hard.
It's the honeymoon.
It's the honeymoon phase. And then it's like, now you're looking for the honeymoon phase. And the moment that it makes you uncomfortable, you're like, this can't be for me because it's supposed to be easy. There's suffering in this walk. Right? So well, I think I still ruminate on that sometimes where I'm like, dag, but like when I tell you the Lord tried to stop me and then came to me in dreams, and I still was like, sent a friend of mine who's prophetic and was like, that he is not your husband, Nina. What are you doing? And I was like, girl, then I got offended. I said, who are you?
What should have been another sign.
You don't know me from nowhere. Like, who you know what I tell you. You know what I let you know about me. So who are you to tell me? And then I got offended. Then I don't want to talk to that person anymore. Right? And then I'm going to my worldly friends and I'm like, could you believe that one of my friends that said blah, blah, blah? They were like, girl, what? That man is fine. But that's all they could say. That man is fine. That's all they could say.
Not does that man pray for you. Not does he sacrifice for you. Does he want to be better for you? Because he wants to be better for Christ.
What? And then we talk about them boundaries. I had that conversation of like, like I don't want to engage in premarital sex or anything like that. And he, oh yeah, okay.
It's always a thug.
Then I get to kissing on that neck and it's, you want, and so yeah, I just, but again, he on paper, like I'm telling you, the man you bring home, the moms, all these things, right? All tall, dark, and handsome. Good job.
Both of our
tall, dark, and handsome, and we both got the complete opposite. We both got the opposite.
I got the more opposite.
You did get the more opposite. Okay, resume wise, I got the opposite.
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I gotta ask your permission to tell that story, but
yeah.
I gotta talk to Bae before we jump into that one.
I got the opposite in terms of luck, skin tone. It don't matter to me.
But so again, when we talk about resumes, like this man was like hit this, and this, and then my now boyfriend, you'd be like, guys, when I tell you polar opposites, oh Jesus, I need to ask him for permission to speak on that, and I will in another episode. Because I almost want to do a visual. Like I wanna write out the things, right? And you're gonna be like, yeah, now that makes perfect sense. I could see why you did that.
Yeah.
But in the spiritual though, that man will go to war for me. And so,
yeah,
if you're gonna look for anything, right? Does he walk it like he talk it? Like he talks it. And this is not the end of the conversation. This is just the beginning of a conversation, because as we continue to date our boyfriends, like there's gonna be things that come up, and there have been times where like I want to sit and have an attitude about something, and he's like, we're not gonna do that, or he want to sit and have an attitude, and I'm like, no, you can't do that because I will let you do that.
Yeah.
And then the Lord would be like,
yeah, or like when one of you or both of you are going through your Job season.
ugh.
Because we talk about that when people are married, and you kind of really don't have, like, if you're like God ordained like relationship marriage, you really can't go nowhere.
But you know about it worse. Like, not to cut you off, but I know I'm gonna lose this thought. The world will tell you, oh, if it gets hard, like that's it. So it's like we only ever hear about the Job season in marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about the meantime, in between time? Like, what does that look like? Yeah. And my boyfriend and I have gone through that season of like, what is this going to look like? And how do we come out of it? We're still coming out of it and figuring out like, what is it? And I know a lot of you are going to sit there and like, and And it's funny because like, you know when people be like, they post their significant other and they're like, oh, do the good and the bad and this and that. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because then you assume who cheated. Who was it? And that's not my story. You understand? But like, there were trials and tribulations, but that was not one of them. And like that transparency behind like, you know, what are the things that you're willing to go through?
Yeah.
What are the hard stops? But also, don't let the world for the Christians, we gotta stop listening to the podcasts or the shade room, or just because they slap a scripture in their bio does not necessarily mean that they're living that life, right? We gotta stop listening to the folk that are like, basically, how far can I push it before it becomes a sin? We gotta stop listening to that, because if I know that this man is a great kisser, I give you a peck. Hey babe, what? Anything past that, now is getting hot. I don't like it. We got heartbeats and faces we don't need to be. I don't like it. Stop it. But we really need to be intentional behind what it is that we are listening to and who it is that we are confiding in, and how we go about setting those boundaries. Just because, and again, we're talking on this now because a lot of the time I took it there. I was like, okay, a lot of people are doing these things because they want to get to the altar in order to get to the bedroom, right? But there are a slew of other things within a relationship that are gonna be difficult, that are gonna try you and stuff like that. And I'm gonna let you get back on your thought because I can feel myself going on my tangent. I'm just gonna shut up now.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think that there's like a lot of having to allowing the Lord to empty out your dirty cup. And sometimes in the emptying out of those dirty cups, that may take you into your Job or your Naomi season, right? There is this sense in American Western culture that when things get tough, there's another fish in the sea. So
Grass is greener.
the grass is always greener somewhere. And I do think that there is like, I can talk about this in a different episode if my person agrees to it. But like, there have been times where I've literally just been like, Lord, are you are you sure? Like, what is, like, I don't, is it supposed to be this? Is it supposed, like, I'm like, I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
But every single time I get frustrated, I have been training myself to go pray
Yeah.
on it rather than react. I'm not perfect, but like, I try. And every single time he reveals something else to me, and it may not even be in the situation, but like with my person, but it's just like, it reminds me, and this is why I feel like it's important to talk to people, especially those who may be in relationships or looking to be in one and you're not yet married, that I think I referenced this before, but it's that choice that like David had to make before he decided to kill Saul or not the first time.
Yeah.
There's this choice that God gives us because we all have free choice. Whatever choice we have has an outcome as a result. That's just life, right? You have to choose. I think any married person that we know says you have to choose that person over and over and over again. That choice doesn't just begin when you marry.
That part.
And so there's this level of, we have to keep in mind that when you're dating,
We think that marriage is gonna fix everything,
and
it's like, no, it's gonna wake it up.
it's going to wake it up. And there's a level of having to be okay with the fact that it's going to be a lot of work. If you can commit to the fact that it is going to be a lot of work, then to be honest with you, and you keep God at the center, it will be okay. Doesn't make it easy, but it will be okay. But there's a level of sacrifice that's going to have to come with it. And there's a foundation that you get to grow when you're like dating, because that is the fun part. It's the cool part of like, I don't really know you yet, but like, we get to know each other, we get to grow, and we get to uncover these little things. But one thing I've learned is that God has many paths.
Yeah.
He don't just have this like, oh, it's one path, that's it. Like, it's his one path. But like, the way that you get there, I think this might be my own personal view, so I will take that. But on this path that he creates for you, he knows when you're going to be stupid and when you're going to fall. And so he stops. And so he already has certain paths that will connect you back. And so because everything is about what our choices are, the Lord can show you something and he can show you it and say that these two people are to be together. Yeah. You have to choose that because he can show you it. And I think a lot of us will like, oh, he showed me this. So I know we're supposed to be together because he showed me it. But if you're not willing to do the work to keep what he showed you,
he's not a genie. He's not giving you 3 wishes. It's not gonna happen that way. But like also understanding to your point, like you need to be centered in Christ because the world will have you thinking that people are your happiness. And especially if you're a people pleaser, no, we don't have to pray. We're gonna pray for you because then you're like constantly thinking that like you're gonna get this happiness from another person, and then when they don't, the world will have you thinking you could just discard them and, like you said, to your point, getting the next. But if you are not, and if you're not looking for a godly relationship, because like there's also, we got to keep it a butt that there are people that are out here that still want to be of the world, but they want a godly woman, or they want a godly man, because it's like that's not gonna work. I don't know that that's gonna work for you. Like, well, in go ahead.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but that's what equally yoked really actively means.
Yeah.
Because there's who, and I'm so upset. I'm not going to remember the scripture. So I'm going to give you the principle. And I'm not, it's going to make me so upset. I'm going to say it and then I'm going to look it up. But there's this sense of, there's the principle of what is going to win in the war, right? In terms, not in the final war, because we already know God wins, but in the war of who you are. Whoever is more strong in their cause is typically what wins out. That's why they tell you have to be equally yoked with somebody, because if somebody is more stubborn in their cause to be an atheist, and then they get married to somebody who is just a little bit lukewarm in their Christianity, who wins in that? It's choices that we have to make, right? So if you are unsure about the choices that you have to make, you're going to end up being the one to acquiesce. The stronger one,
you will become like them before they become like you.
So when you are firmer in your walk with God, right, that's the reason. And that's why in your singlehood, you're supposed to be getting to know Jesus and getting to know God, because the firmer you are, right, it means that you can match somebody that doesn't mean you won't grow. That doesn't mean that there won't be times where you're like, I don't know, I'm struggling or whatever. That's natural.
Yeah.
But like, you don't want to get into a relationship with somebody who you're not equally yoked with, who if you are down and you are starting to question things spiritually, if they can't say, we need to pray, if they go like, we could just stop going to church, it's totally fine, I don't even care. Who's going to win that battle?
Run.
I don't look it up.
Go ahead, sorry, love. Yeah. So I think this is gonna be a very fun topic for us to kind of still dive into, because we're still learning our person, just like we're still learning ourselves. And so, just if you take anything from this episode, I pray that what you do take away is that it is super important for you to be around people who can pray with you when things are down. And even if it's just one person that you can call just to be like, yo, I want to do this right, and I don't want to get it wrong. I want to do this right, and I need help navigating it. And don't call me though. I'm kidding. But so you know, we shut up.
Also, the job by he's here.
Remember though. But no, I like, it's not the end of the world, and it's not, if you are in your single season, if you are dating, I hope that this episode finds you if you are in the dating world. If you're anything like me, when thinking about dating, do I ultimately want to get married? Yes. Is that like the hill that I'm gonna die on? No, it's not. Like yeah, my partner and I have the understanding that like the altar is there. We know what God has told us. But we're not on a fast track to get there. We're still learning each other. And I think that it's gonna be fun to go through this phase and go through this current the now, and see what comes from it, and who it can help, and how it can help. So
Because my nails are long sometimes, and then the words get all jumbled. But I didn't want to get frustrated, so what I'm gonna do is in the post when I find it, it's gonna be in the video.
nice.
And for those who are listening on whatever streaming platform, it will be in the description.
We love a lake.
Cause I know it. I know it. Cause I learned it. I liked it. I learned it good.
Oh my God, we hope that this touches you. We hope you got a good laugh, and we hope that you learned something new, and we just hope you continue to go on the journey with us, because this is one of those conversations that's like, when you're going through it, you don't feel like you should talk about it, but like that's when you should talk about it. Because how many times we don't want to wait till we get to the altar to be like, hey guys, so we have a story to tell. No, it's gonna be in the now. The more that we navigate this space that the Lord has called us to be in. So, for sure. With all that being said, mi gente, I'm Nina Montañez. I'm Paula WJ. Stay blessed.